good afternoon. We were discussing about convection diffusion problems. Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And we had started with a couple of very basic type of discretization methods. One was just based on common sense, where we had seen. So the main problem that let me just open that once, that we can continue from there. So this was the problem that we wanted to discretize, the convective term, and the main issue came on how to discretize the, or how to formulate the term rho u e phi e minus rho u w phi w. How to interpolate phi east and phi at west. Okay. So for this we used first a common sense approach, where we assumed that phi east and phi west, these values are just average values of the neighboring grid points. But with this we derived a discretized equation which we called a central difference scheme. But we found that there are some issues. What we found is that it works at very small velocities, means when the diffusivity is high, but when the velocity or flow rate becomes higher, the scheme fails. Then to avoid those problems, we came up with another idea where we assume that the velocity, not the velocity, the value at these interfaces is directly influenced by the direction of the flow. So if the flow comes from the left to the right, this value will be equal to the value at W. And if the flow comes from this side, from the right to the left, this value will be directly equal to the value of P for the calculation of the flow term, not for the diffusion term. Diffusion is still based on linear interpolation. This was just for the flow term, and with this we derived a discretization method, and we called it as upwind scheme. And we saw that it works well in case of high flow rates also, in the case where the central difference scheme failed. So before proceeding further, okay, what we would like to know is that if there is a grid structure like this, so this is the grid structure. I hope you can see. There may be sometimes some lag, okay, because of internet speed. So that cannot be avoided. So it means that sometimes my mouse cursor will move later while I speak faster. The movement on the screen comes somewhat later. So you have to bear with that. So anyway, so if this is the grid structure, whether we can find out any information on how the variation of any variable like phi or temperature occurs between two adjacent grid points, like how the variation is between W and P, how the variation is between P and E, whether it is like a straight line or it is like a step, or it is like exponential, or is it like logarithmic or polynomial. Can we derive some insight into the variation in case of convection diffusion problem? So luckily for us, we will see that actually we can derive an analytical solution if the problem is one-dimensional and without the unsteady and source term. So if it is a one-dimensional problem without unsteady and source term, so it's a one-dimensional steady-state problem without source term, we can actually derive the full solution analytically for that problem and directly find out the variation. Okay. Now obviously that solution is only valid for 1D without unsteady and source term. But that nature of variation gives us insight about 2D and 3D problems, and even in case of unsteady problems also. Okay. So with this type of variation, what we can do then is that we know how the variation occurs, then we can find out better ways to interpolate the values at the interfaces instead of just using central difference scheme or upwind scheme. Remember that upwind scheme is still very useful and is still widely used. Even in today, many like most of the software uses upwind schemes, or like even our codes or many codes use upwind schemes. So it is not that those schemes are bad, but if you want to go for much more accurate schemes, there are other schemes, and that is what we are trying to find out. So to do that, what we will do is we will assume a one-dimensional problem, as I've just described. Okay. So for this one, so you can assume that this is going from one grid point to another grid point, like the distance between two grid points, similar to that. Okay. Or it's like an independent problem. Whatever it is, we do not have to bother right now with that. So for this problem, the domain goes from x equal to 0 to x equal to L. It is a one-dimensional domain, so it goes from 0 to L. And the boundary conditions are given as phi is equal to phi 0 at x equal to 0 and pi equal to phi L at x equal to L. Okay. And the governing equation, remember, it's a 1D steady state problem without any source term. So we only have the advective and diffusive term. d dx of rho u phi is equal to d dx of gamma d phi dx. We will keep this open here. So now we will non-dimensionalize this so that we can derive the insights in a better way. Non-dimensionalization always gives us better insights, like what are the actual non-dimensional parameters involved, this type of things. So phi we will non-dimensionalize based on the boundary values. So phi, let us define a non-dimensional phi as phi star, which is given as phi minus phi 0 divided by phi L minus phi 0. Phi is the variable of concern, like the variable that we are trying to solve for. What we are trying to do ultimately in this problem, we are trying to find out what is the variation of phi going from x equal to 0 to x equal to L. So basically, we are trying to find out how phi varies with x. Okay. So that if we know that variation, we will be easily able to find out at any point what is the variable value phi. So if we want to then use this information in a scheme, we can find out. So for a scheme, we want at the interface, so at the midpoint. So you will be easily able to find the value at the midpoint, because we will know actually how the phi varies. Even if we go for 2D or 3D type of problems, we will use this information to better approximate the actual solution to get better schemes. So phi star, which is a non-dimensional parameter we have defined, is equal to phi minus phi 0 by phi L minus phi 0, and x we will non-dimensionalize with the length. So x star is equal to x by L. So in non-dimensional form, the boundary conditions are at x star equal to 0, phi star is equal to, so you can see that phi 0 minus phi 0, so it is 0, phi star equal to 0. And at x star equal to 1, means at x equal to L, x star equal to 1, phi star is equal to, so you can put phi is equal to phi L. So phi L minus phi 0 by phi L minus phi 0, so it is 1. So phi star is equal to 1 at x star equal to 1, and phi star equal to 0 at x star equal to 0. Okay. So the non-dimensional values are 0 and 1 at length 0 and 1. Now let us non-dimensionalize the equation also. So this is our equation, d dx of rho u phi is equal to d dx of gamma d phi dx. Okay. Please let me know whenever you do not understand in something here. Okay. Not difficult to understand, but still. So first, let us consider the advective term d dx of rho u phi. Okay. So x we can write as, let us keep this open. Okay. X is equal to x star into L. So this x we will replace by x star into L, and rho u let us keep as rho u itself. Phi is nothing but what is phi? Phi star into phi L minus phi 0 plus phi 0. Okay, phi star into phi L minus phi 0 plus phi 0. Basically, we are replacing phi by from this expression. which means that d dx of rho u phi is equal to, so we can take this rho u out as rho u is constant due to means as it is given by continuity equation that rho u is constant. So rho u by L also we can take out, and this phi L minus phi 0 also we can take out. I cannot use it here. Anyway. So this phi L minus phi 0 also we can take out. So rho u phi L minus phi 0 by L, this we can take out, and we will be left with d phi star dx star. Okay, this term is constant, so derivative of it goes to 0. So we are left with d phi star dx star and this additional coefficient. Okay. Similarly, for the diffusion term, d dx of gamma d phi dx, again replace phi and x from these two expressions. So x is equal to x star into L, and phi is equal to phi star phi L minus phi 0 plus phi 0. And after simplification, you will be left with gamma. So this gamma comes out phi L minus phi 0 by L square, because there are two L's in the denominator. D square phi star dx star square. Okay. So this is the diffusive term. So now we can write this equation by representing them with these two terms. Okay. So rho u phi L minus phi 0 by L d phi star dx star is equal to gamma phi L minus phi 0 by L square d square phi star dx star square. Okay. So phi L minus phi 0 by L gets cancelled. So we are left with rho u L by gamma. Rho u L by gamma. Okay. D phi star dx star is equal to d square phi star dx star square. So what is this rho u L by gamma? So rho u L by gamma is rho u by gamma by L. So rho u, remember, we had described or defined in the previous classes, the advective strength, F, means the strength of the flow. And gamma by L is the diffusive strength, diffusion coefficient divided by length scale. Previously we had defined as something like gamma by delta x, something like that. So basically diffusivity by length scale. Okay, so this is the diffusive strength. Okay, F by D. So this is a non-dimensional number, this rho u L by gamma, and it is what we have defined as Peclet number. Okay, let us call it as P. Peclet number P. So Peclet number, what is the physical significance? It gives us the ratio of the advective strength by the diffusive strength. If Peclet number is very high, it means that diffusive strength is less, advective strength is high. If Peclet number is small, it means that diffusive strength is high, advective strength is small. And based on this, we had seen in the previous class that this convective diffusive, the central difference scheme works well when the Peclet number is less than 2, means the magnitude of Peclet number is less than 2, the central difference scheme works well. And the upwind scheme works well for high Peclet number when the flow is dominant. Anyway, so this non-dimensional term comes automatically in the equation. So we are left with P d phi star dx star is equal to d square phi star dx star square. This is our non-dimensional form of the convection diffusion equation, this equation. Okay. So we have successfully non-dimensionalized the equation. It might not have been possible for other types of equation, but for this simple equation, it is possible. So we want to now solve this equation with the boundary conditions. The second order equation, two boundary conditions are required. We have already defined the boundary conditions. Phi star equal to 0 at x star equal to 0, phi star equal to 1 at x star equal to 1. Okay. So now P d phi star dx star is equal to d square phi star dx star square. If you take this term left hand side to the right hand side and take d dx star common, we are left with d dx star of d phi star dx star, this second order term, okay, minus p phi star equal to 0. Or if you integrate this, okay, with respect to x star, we get d phi star dx star minus p phi star is equal to C1, where C1 is some constant. Okay, we'll find out later based on the boundary conditions. or d phi star dx star is equal to C1 plus P phi star, or d phi star by C1 by P phi star is equal to dx star. Okay. So we can, instead of d phi star, we can take this as C1 plus P phi star if we take 1 by P common, basically. So 1 by P d C1 plus P phi star. So d of C1 plus P phi star is equal to P of P into d phi star. So that is why we have put this P here. Elementary integration, basically. Divided by C1 plus P phi star is equal to integral of dx star. So this gives us 1 by P ln of log of C1 plus P phi star is equal to x star plus log of C2, where C2 is another constant. We again rearrange the term. We can take the Peclet number to the other side. Log of C1 plus P phi star is equal to P x star plus P into ln C2. This P into ln C2, because C2 was an arbitrary constant, we can write that P into ln C2 as ln C3, where C3 is another constant such that ln C3 is equal to P into ln C2. Okay, C3 is another constant. So ln of, so this log we can take to the left hand side. Ln C1 P phi star minus ln C1 plus P phi star minus ln C3. So if we put these two terms together, we get ln C1 plus P phi star divided by C3 is equal to Px star. Okay, where C1 and C3 are the constants which we want to derive based on the boundary conditions. So if you remove the log, you get C1 plus P phi star divided by C3 is equal to e to the power Px star, or P phi star. By rearranging the term, you get P phi star is equal to C3 into e to the power Px star minus C1. So this is our expression after solving the equation. So we have been successfully able to solve the equation. Remember, it is not always possible because this is a simplified 1D problem. That's why we are able to solve. If it's a 2D or 3D problem or Navier-Stokes problem, we cannot solve analytically. For this simple problem, we can solve analytically. Okay. Now we have to find the values of the constants. So from boundary condition, x star is equal at x star equal to 0, phi star equal to 0. Okay, so replace the values. X star equal to 0. So C3 e to the power 0, which means that C3 into 1. So C3 minus C1 is equal to 0. So because phi star equal to 0. So 0 is equal to C3 minus C1, or C3 is equal to C1. Okay. So we can rewrite this expression as P phi star is equal to C1 e to the power Px star minus 1. Now we have to find C1 from the second boundary condition. So at x star equal to 1, phi star is equal to 1. So again replace this in this equation. P into 1 is equal to, in this expression replace. Okay, P into 1 is equal to C1 e to the power P into 1 minus 1. Okay. So P is equal to C1 e to the power P minus 1, or C1 is equal to P by e to the power P minus 1. So this is the value of the other constant. Okay. So now we can write the final expression. Okay. So replace this C1 by this constant. Okay. It is already there. Let me just keep this open. So P into phi star is equal to P by e to the power P minus 1 e to the power P x star minus 1. So P gets cancelled. So ultimately we are left with phi star is equal to e to the power P x star minus 1 by e to the power P minus 1. So this is the non-dimensional solution. This is the solution of the one-dimensional convection diffusion problem without source term and unsteady term. Okay. So this gives us a variation, and we can see that the variation is exponential. It's not polynomial or logarithmic. It is or some other types of, like say any type of polynomial like quadratic or linear. It is not linear like that. It is exponential. It means that we will see how this variation occurs, but the variation is exponential in nature for this one-dimensional problem. And we have got a nice solution because it was a simplified problem. And this will give us a lot of insight, as we will see later, on how to derive or how to devise basically different types of discretization schemes. So in dimensional form, you can write this as phi minus phi 0 divided by phi L minus phi 0 is equal to e to the power px by L. Remember, x star is equal to x by L. So px by L minus 1 by e to the power p minus 1. Okay. This is the exact solution. This is the exact variation that is occurring. If your problem is this problem, if you have a 1D problem which only has convective and diffusive terms, which can happen in many cases, right? So like a simplified flow problem. So in those type of cases, the variation of phi will be exactly given by this solution. Okay, it will be 100% correct, 100% accurate. It will be exactly given by this solution. So and you can see that by putting the values at x equal to 0. If I put at x equal to 0 here, you get what? So you get e to the power 0, which is 1. So 1 minus 1 is 0. So this becomes 0. So phi equal to phi 0. Okay. So at x equal to 0, we get our boundary condition. And if x is equal to L, e to the power p L by L. So e to the power p minus 1 by e to the power p minus 1. So this term becomes 1. So phi minus phi 0 is equal to phi L minus phi 0. So phi becomes equal to phi L, which is the other boundary condition that we get. So gives us the exact solution for variation of phi within a control volume for a 1D or in any domain. It need not be a control volume. It is in a full 1D domain, it will give the exact solution, even if the domain is very long also. Within a control for a 1D convection diffusion problem without source and unsteady term. And what we have found is that the variation is exponential. Okay, phi varies exponentially with x. Let us try to understand this variation for different Peclet numbers. We will see that behavior is different for different Peclet number p, because it will depend on the Peclet number. Just a second. Any questions? No, sir. Let us continue. So variation of phi for different values of Peclet number. Okay. So let me just keep this solution open here. This is the solution. Say Peclet number is, it tends to 0. Okay. At the limit Peclet number 0, how is the behavior? Let us try to find. Okay. So phi star is equal to e to the power px star minus. So basically phi star is equal to e to the power px by L minus 1 by e to the power p minus 1. So at the limit Peclet number equal to 0, we can write this as, we will write it as two limits. Okay, we will divide this as two limits. Limit of px by L tends to 0, e to the power px by L minus 1 divided by px by L. Okay, so we have put one px by L here. Into this denominator, we'll put as another limit. Limit p tends to 0, p by e to the power p minus 1. So this p and p, this gets cancelled, and this x by L is extra. So that's why we have put one x by L outside. Okay. So basically, we have divided this into two limits. Why we have divided into two limits? Because these limits can be evaluated. So both of these limits are equal to 1. So limit of x tends to 0, e to the power x minus 1 by x is what? Is equal to 1. Okay. Limit of, just a second. Right. So limit of x tends to 0, e to the power x minus 1 by x. This is equal to 1. Okay. Very easy to actually, if you just go from the series, you will find this. So that is what we have done here. So now this limit within this bracket, limit of px by L. So let us call this as a variable, some variable a. Limit a tends to 0, e to the power a minus 1 by a. So this will be 1. And the second limit also, limit of e to the power p minus 1 by p as p tends to 0 is also going to be 1. So x by L into 1 into 1. Okay. So basically this is x by L. So is equal to x star. So phi star is equal to x star at the limit that p tends to 0. Okay. So the variation becomes linear. Okay. From exponential, it becomes linear when p tends to 0. So how this variation looks like then? How will it look like? It, it should look like something like this, right? So if I have so this is x star, which is equal to x by L. And this x star is equal to 0 here and 1 here. Okay. And this is the value phi star. Phi star is equal to 0. And basically this is phi star. Okay. So this is 0, sorry. And this is 1. So we get this variation. That phi star is equal to x star. So this is the linear variation going from. So this is not 0. This is 1. So phi star goes from 0 to 1 as x star goes from 0 to 1. This is the variation. This is a linear variation. So at Peclet number equal to 0, what does it mean? Physically, what does it signify? It means that there is no flow. It is only diffusion based problem. Okay. So when there is only diffusion based problem, when there is no flow, the variation occurs in a linear fashion. And that is what we expect that. So now if something is in midway, okay, if I have a location midway between this, the value at this point will be a average of the value at this point and the value at this point, right? So basically say here if the value is some value, here some value, it will be just the average. And that is what we expect in a diffusion problem. So next is if P is greater than 0. Okay. So what if P is greater than 0? So again, if we go back to our equation, phi star is e to the power P x star minus 1 by e to the power P minus 1. So if I take a derivative with respect to x star, d phi star dx star is equal to, so this term does not participate, 1 by e to the power P minus 1 into derivative of this with respect to x star. So which is P into e to the power Px star. Okay. If P is greater than 0, e to the power P is greater than 1. So this term is positive. Okay. Greater than 1 minus 1. So this term is positive. And P is greater than 0. So anyway, this term is also positive. This term is positive. So entire term is positive. So this is greater than 0. It means that the slope of the line is positive. Okay. D phi star dx star is positive. Slope of the line is positive. And what about the second? I will come to why we are doing this, but let us do the second derivative. D square phi star dx star square. Okay. So again, this derivative of this basically. So 1 by e to the power P minus 1. P square e to the power Px star. Okay. This term again, it remains positive obviously, and P square is positive, e to the power Px star. So P is positive, so this term is also positive anyway. So entire thing exponential anyway has to be positive. So this is going to be positive. So slope is positive and the rate of change of slope is also positive. What it means is that the slope is increasing with x star because rate of change of slope is positive. So there we start with a certain slope, positive slope, and the slope keeps increasing. So how it will look like is that it should look something like this. It should look something like this. That the slope is positive initially and the slope keeps increasing. So if you consider this line, the light blue color line, you will see that there is a certain positive slope here. Always the slope is positive anywhere. And the slope is increasing. Okay. So this is the case. Similarly, like this. So for this case also, we will discuss later that for higher Peclet number, the higher is the Peclet number, the more is will this be like this. Okay. If for even higher Peclet number, it will go like this. Slope will be positive and will keep on increasing with x. Okay. So this is what happens when the Peclet number is positive. What insight does we get from here? Peclet number positive means what physically? Now you guys should tell us something. Okay. So Peclet number positive means what physically? What is the difference between negative Peclet number and positive? Say -5 and +5. What is the difference?
Sir, +5 means the flow is from west to east, like in the direction of x, and -5 represents the reverse direction of flow.
Correct. So positive Peclet number means from west to east, from left to right on the screen, right? From the left to right. Just a second, please.
Yes, sir.
So in that case, what do we expect? Say at the midpoint between two grid points, the value should be more like the value of the left hand side point or the right hand side point. Say left hand side point, we put some values. Let's say left hand side point, this point has 300 Kelvin and this point has 400 Kelvin. Right hand side point has 400 Kelvin value, temperature. So now the flow is coming strongly from the left hand side. So the midpoint between these 2 points should be near to 300 or near to 400?
So near to 300.
Near to 300 because the flow is coming from that direction. It will, so accordingly the temperature will get adjusted, and that is what we are seeing from the graph, right? We are seeing that, so that this value, say this point, if we consider, this value is much near to this value as compared to this value. This is like the non-dimensional value, so this can be considered as 300 and this is 400, right? It is much near to 300 as compared to 400. So if the Peclet number is 0, it means that there is no flow. Then what do you expect? What should be the value midpoint in that conduction problem between 300 and 400?
So the average of 300 and 400.
Correct. So that is what we are getting here. So this is exactly halfway between the top and bottom, right? This point is halfway between the top and bottom. Now the flow rate increases, more we go towards the left hand side value. Even in higher flow rate, we go more towards the left hand value. If the flow rate is very high, we will find that this value is very much near to the left hand side value. Okay, very far away from the 400 value, very near to the 300 value. So with increasing flow rate, more and more the value gets dominated by the upstream side, wherever is the upstream side. So now the upstream side is the left hand side. Upstream means from the direction from which flow comes. Okay, so that's what we have got here. Similarly, for P less than 0, we will find we already know that we should find the opposite behavior. That P less than 0 means that flow comes from right to left. So this value should be dominating the value at the midpoint. So the value here at the midline should be more near this value. So it should be higher than the average value that we should find. So let us try to understand that. Just a second. My throat is facing breathing issues for a long time. So again, d phi star dx star is equal to, we'll come to this later, is equal to e to the power p like 1 by e to the power p minus 1 into p e to the power px star. Okay, so this we have already derived. So later, if p is less than 0, what is the value of e to the power p minus 1? E to the power p will be less than 1. E to the power 0 is 1. E to the power something negative is less than 1. So less than 1 minus 1 means this entire term is negative. Okay, this term is negative. Into p is negative. So into another negative. Okay, negative, negative, positive. E to the power some negative term into x star. So e to the power something is always going to be positive. Okay, exponential. Whether it is negative, so it will be less than 1, but still positive. Negative, negative, positive. So ultimately the entire thing is positive. So it is greater than 0. So again the slope remains positive. In this case also, if Peclet number is less than 0. What about the rate of change of slope? Second derivative was e to the power 1 by e to the power p minus 1 into p square e to the power px star. Okay. So e to the power p minus 1 again. So e to the power p is less than 1. So less than 1 minus 1. So this term is negative. Now p square has to be positive, obviously, and e to the power px star also has to be positive. So one negative and two positive. So the entire thing is negative. So rate of change of slope is negative. So the slope starts higher and then the slope decreases with x star. Okay. So in this case, the slope of phi star is positive, but the rate of change of slope is negative. Hence, the slope is initially higher and gradually decreases from x star equal to 0 to x star equal to L. It means that initially the slope is higher. Okay. This is how it looks like. Initially, the slope is higher and the slope is decreasing. Right. The slope is decreasing. If the Peclet number is even higher, means in the negative direction, This will be the value. So what do you see here? If the Peclet number is slightly negative, you will see like this. That at the midpoint, okay, so this is our midpoint, right? This line represents the midpoint. The value is much more near to this value, right? Much more near to this value as compared to this value. So in this case, the value is much more near to 400 instead of 300 for our example. Why? Because the flow is coming from the right to the left. The flow is coming from the 400 side. That's why this value is much more near to that. If the flow rate is even higher, we will have even nearer value, okay, near to this value. So this is what we are seeing. Is this clear to everyone? How the variation looks like?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is what I have drawn here. Okay. So if x star goes from 0 to 1, if p is equal to 0, you get the straight line. Okay, linear variation, which means a diffusion dominated problem. For positive Peclet number, positive means along the direction of the axis, because x is going from left to right. That's why this. If x was coordinate was in the opposite direction, positive will be in that direction. Okay, that the coordinate itself goes from left to right. Our coordinate system. So that's why that is the positive flow direction. Okay, it is not that always it has to be from left to right. Whatever is the code, if it is from top to bottom, bottom to top, then that will be the positive direction. So Peclet number is greater than 0. It looks like this. It is much greater than 0. It looks like this. Similarly, less than 0, it looks like this. We already discussed. Much less than 0, it looks like this. Okay. So let us take a break here and then we will continue this discussion. So I'm back. Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let us continue. So we have derived this exponential solution for our convection diffusion problem for a 1D case. And what insight can we gain from here? We find that if Peclet number is 0, the variation should be linear. If Peclet number is greater than 0, the variation look like this. Okay, dominated by the upstream side, means the direction from which flow is coming. If Peclet number is less than 0, then also it is dominated by the upstream side. Okay, do not get confused. But the upstream side now is this right hand side because the flow comes from the right hand side. So it is getting dominated by the right hand side. Always it will be dominated by the upstream side value. But the upstream side changes depending on the flow direction. Okay. And what about our schemes, initial schemes that we had discussed, the central difference scheme? For the central difference scheme, we had assumed that both the flow term as well as the diffusion term is both the flow term as well as the diffusive term uh, assumes a linear variation like this straight line. Okay, and we can see that although for the diffusion term this is fine, okay, for the flow term this is not fine. But ultimately it is not a separate diffusion and flow term. This solution that we have obtained is it has contributing factor from both diffusion plus flow. So it is the total solution of the flow plus diffusion term, right? And the central difference scheme does not do a good job unless Peclet number is very near to 0. If Peclet number is near to 0, it does a good job. It is more or less similar to this exact solution. What about the upwind scheme? Upwind scheme, we had assumed that. What did we assume? For the upwind scheme, we had assumed this value. Okay. So we had assumed that if the flow is coming from this direction, this should be the value. So value will go like this. Means the value here is exactly equal to the value at this point. Okay. For the flow equation. And for the diffusion, we had just taken the average. If you see the diffusion equation, we had taken the average. If we go to upwind scheme, for the diffusion, we had just taken the normal interpolation. For the flow part, we had assumed what I have just told. Okay, that the upstream side value is this value at the center is equal to the upstream side value. Okay, so like this, and then there is a step jump. Okay, so similarly, if there is negative flow, we had assumed that this is the value everywhere, and then there is a step jump. Okay, so here the value is like this. So we see that for the flow part, our the approximation that we have taken for flow for upwind is quite accurate if the Peclet number is large, whether it is in positive or negative. So the Peclet number is very large positive or very large negative, this value is quite near to the actual value. Okay, similarly this value is quite near to the actual value, right? So upwind scheme gives us a good accuracy in case of very large flows. However, there is a problem. The diffusion we had assumed still to be like a linear interpolation, but remember here these values, they are including the diffusion effect also. So these are not only for the flow. So the solution that we have obtained includes both the effect of diffusion and flow. So that's why I had written here, and we had like it is said that however, it overestimates the effect of diffusion. Upwind scheme overestimates the effect of diffusion. Okay, so it estimates that there is a strong effect of diffusion, but in reality, for very large flow values, the effect of diffusion is negligible. Okay, as shown from the analytical solution. So we will, what is the significance of this analytical solution? So with these variations in mind, now we can derive solution, we can derive discretization schemes which better approximates the actual profile. Okay, so that we get better approximations at the interface. Let us try to do that. Okay, so significance of the analytical solution, we can assume similar profile for variation of phi between the grid points for developing discretized equations. Okay, so again let us go back to our discretized grid structure that we always use. Okay, P is the grid point at the center, and the control volume goes from small w to small east, has a length of delta x. The neighboring grid points are east, capital E, and capital W in the east and west direction. And distance between the neighboring grid points are delta xc and delta xw. Okay, this is our standard discretized domain. So because now we know that the variation is exponential in nature for a convection diffusion problem, what we can assume is that between two adjacent grid points, instead of assuming linear profile, we can assume the exact profile that we have derived. Okay, now I will just keep this diagram open. Okay, so we have derived this profile. So from P to E, at P we know the value phi P. Okay, or it is means values are stored at the grid point P, and at grid point E also values are stored. It is phi E. So it is phi E. Okay, and our aim is to find the value at the interface, because that is what we will require for finding the flux or while solving for the control volume, because our control volume integral goes from west to east. So we need the value at west and we need the value at east. I'm just showing at east, but similar treatment can be done for the west also. Okay. So P goes from phi is equal to phi P to phi is equal to phi E from point P, like if x goes from 0 to delta xc from here to here. So accordingly the variation occurs. So now if P is 0, if Peclet number is 0, the variation is like a straight line, like our central difference scheme. If Peclet number is greater than 0, this will be the variation, and it is less than 0, this should be the variation. So whatever we have discussed is true. Means that if it is a diffusion dominated process, there is no flow, then the central point at this point, at east point, okay, then at this east point, the value will be equal to the average of phi p and phi p plus phi by 2. If the Peclet number is positive, means flow comes from the left to the right, the value here is very near to phi p. And if the Peclet number is negative, flow comes from the east side, the value here is much near to phi e. Okay. So with this now in mind, let us try to derive a new scheme, which we will call as exponential scheme. Okay. I'll come to that. Okay. So for this, the variation is phi minus phi p by phi minus phi p. Remember what was our solution? We should not forget that this is our solution. This is our exponential solution. Okay. Phi minus phi p. Now this left hand side value is phi p by phi minus phi p. Okay. Instead of phi l and phi 0, we are replacing them. Is equal to e to the power p. Okay. Peclet number at the interface. We are taking the, like, somewhere we have to take the Peclet number. Okay, at what location we will take the Peclet number? We are taking it to be at the midpoint, whatever is the Peclet number. P x is n, x goes from this point to this point. Okay, the distance by delta xc, which is like the L that we had. Okay, which is the length scale delta xc, minus 1 by e to the power p minus 1. Okay, p is just Peclet number at each interface, representative of the Peclet number between p and d. Okay. So if Peclet number is much greater than 0, you can replace. You will find that phi is equal to phi p. Means the east interface value is equal to phi p, and if Peclet number is much less than 0, the phi here is equal to phi e. Okay, which we have discussed multiple times now. So these extreme cases are similar to upwind scheme, but with negligible diffusion. Okay, so that even including diffusion, this is true. But in upwind scheme, we had assumed that diffusion is still given by the linear average, which overestimated the diffusion. Okay. If Peclet number is equal to 0, you will find that phi is equal to phi p plus phi e by 2, and this is similar to central difference scheme. Okay, all this we have discussed. I'm just summarizing. Okay. So the exact solution gives the variation of phi between the grid points for very simple case. For more complex cases, what are more complex cases? Where there is source term, where there is unsteady term, when it is a 2D problem, when it is a 3D problem. For this type of cases, still the knowledge that we have gained means the variation will be similar, although it will not be the exactly same, or it will not be exactly same as given by this equation. The nature of variation will still be similar. Okay. Nature of variation will still be similar. So with this knowledge, now we will try to derive a new discretization scheme, which we will call as exponential scheme. Any questions? So then let us continue.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Yes, please.
In page number 132.
Page number 1. Yes, this page.
Rounded off that equation, no, sir.
Which one? This one? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
What is capital L here, sir? What length?
This is the length between the the length of the domain.
Okay, sir. Okay.
So
Okay.
x equal to 0 to x equal to L. This is the
Okay.
length of the domain. So in this case, we had assumed that the length goes from P to E. So that's why the length is delta XC now. Okay.
Only we should consider in this case delta XA, not.
We will for no. In this case, what is our target? Remember, don't try to memorize. So our target is to find the value at the interface, and we know the values at the grid points. Like we know phi W, phi P, phi E, these values, right? So based on these values, we want to find out the value at the interface. So if we know the variation between two grid points, adjacent grid points, we can find the value at the interface. So to find the value at the adjacent grid points, we can use this expression that we have derived. Okay. So we are using this expression because we know that this will be the variation between these grid points. So what was our boundary conditions there? Phi is equal to phi 0. Yes.
So L is not constant. It depends from equation to equation. So
No,
here,
there is no, like, your question does not make any meaning. Means
sir, from here from P to E, we have considered L is equals to delta XA. So if
L
we
is the length scale. So L is a constant, but it will obviously, for any problem, this will change, right? Means L is the length of the domain for this exponential variation.
Okay, sir.
I will explain again for all.
I got it, sir.
Okay, but still. So our problem, this problem that we have assumed, we are fitting this problem now between two grid points. Okay. So we had assumed that at x equal to 0, phi is equal to phi 0. Now at x equal to 0, we will assume phi is equal to phi p. And we had assumed that at x equal to L, phi is equal to phi L. Now we will assume that at x equal to delta xc, phi is equal to phi e. Because these are the values that are known to us. Based on this, now if we solve, we will get the same solution. Now instead of phi 0, we will write phi p, and wherever there is phi L, we will write phi e. And wherever there is length scale L, we will write delta xc, because that is the length going from 0 to delta xc. Okay. So that's why we are finding this variation. Okay. Similarly, if you do for this between these two grid points also you can do. Right. Between any two adjacent grid points, you have to do like this. Between these two grid points, the variation will be e to the power pw x by delta xw minus 1 by e to the power pw minus 1. Something like that. Okay. This length will be there. And your this will be phi minus phi w by phi p minus phi w. Phi minus phi w because phi w is on the left hand side and phi p is on the right hand side. So don't just replace phi e by phi w. Okay, that will be wrong. So phi minus phi w by phi p minus phi w. You have to understand why this has been like represented like this. Let us try to derive that only, like what I am just discussing. So this is our grid again. Going from, so the central control volume goes from small w to small e and is represented by the grid point P, has a length of delta x. Adjacent grid point in the east direction is capital E and the west direction is capital W. And the distance between P and E is delta xc and W and P is delta xw. The adjacent control volume goes from small e to small ee, and on the left hand side, the adjacent control volume is from small ww to small w. Okay, they are represented by the grid points W and east. Now, what is our profile? Remember, still finite volume, we should not lose track. We have to take a profile assumption. Okay, so in this case, our profile assumption we will take as exponential variation. Previously, we had taken linear, step, all this type. Some of them worked, some did not work. Now the variation is going to be exponential. Okay, why? Because we have seen that the variation looks like exponential for at least the simple convection diffusion problem. So with the exponential variation, the profile between P and D we can write using this expression, derived expression. Okay, so x, where x goes from 0 at P whenever like at grid point P to x equal to delta xc at grid point P. Okay, so phi minus phi p, same expression, phi minus phi p by phi minus phi p is equal to e to the power Peclet number at the east interface x by delta xc minus 1 by e to the power p minus 1. Okay, Peclet number are known quantities at the interfaces. They can be found okay, based on the velocity and the diffusion strength. So Peclet number is based on advective strength and diffusive strength, and advective and diffusive strength can be found at the interface. How will we find the advective strength? By interpolating. So rho u at the interface we can interpolate, and gamma we know how to interpolate using harmonic mean. We have discussed previously before the mid-semester exam. So Peclet number is anyway known. So this is the variation. Okay, phi minus phi p by phi minus phi p is equal to e to the power px by delta xc minus 1 by e to the power p minus 1. Similarly, between west and P point, W and P, what is the variation? Again, use the same expression. So left hand side is phi W. So phi minus phi W by phi P minus phi W. Okay, so now our x goes from this point to this point. Okay, is equal to e to the power PW x by delta xw minus 1 by e to the power PW minus 1. Okay, you should notice here that I have not just replaced the east with west. That will be incorrect, right? It is going from left to right. Whatever is on the left should come in here. Here W is on the left, here P was on the left. And whatever is on the right will come here. Okay. It is not a matter of just replacing east with west. And so this is our equation, right? The 1D convection diffusion equation. D dx of rho u phi is equal to d dx of gamma d phi dx. Let us call this as 1. Okay. And let us define a total flux. Total flux means combination of advective flux and diffusive flux. Okay. As rho u phi, which is the advective flux, minus gamma d phi dx, which is the diffusive flux. Minus gamma d phi dx is like minus k dt dx. like the conductive flux. Okay, like minus k dt dx, everybody knows it's the conduction, the heat flux. So similarly, gamma d phi dx. Okay. So rho u phi is the advective flux minus gamma d phi dx is the diffusive flux. The total flux is rho u phi minus gamma d phi dx. Okay. So we can write this equation in terms of the total flux as dj dx equal to 0. If you take this to the left hand side, it becomes dj dx equal to 0. Okay. In a simplified form. So now our what is the role of what do we do in finite volume method? Just a second. Just a second. Yes. So what do we do in finite volume method? We integrate the governing equation in the control volume. Okay, for the control volume. Control volume goes from west to east. So going from west to east, our equation has become very simple. dj dx equal to 0 in terms of j. So dj dx equal to 0. Okay. This is for the finite volume. This is for the control volume going from west to east. Okay. Or j at east is equal to j at west. After integration, we find that j at east is equal to j at west. Now, what is j at east? So j is the flux, right? So j at east will be rho u at east, phi at east, rho u phi at east minus gamma at east, d phi dx at east. Okay. This term. Rho u at east, phi at east minus gamma at east, d phi dx at east. Okay. Now we will use this expression to evaluate these values. Okay. So that we know what is j at east. Okay. So rho u at east is the the advective flux at the east point, which is known, which can be interpolated from the grid point value. So this is called as f. We have already denoted this as f. So f at east. So the problem was coming on how to interpolate this phi. We will use the exponential scheme for interpolating phi. Okay. So let this distance be xe. Okay. Let the distance be xe between. So what is xe? Xe is the distance of the east interface from the grid point P. Okay. East interface from the grid point P. So for this interface, what will be the value of phi? You have to replace this distance. So e to the power P xc by delta xc minus 1 by e to the power P minus 1 should be equal to phi at east interface minus phi p by phi capital E minus phi capital P. Okay. So basically, we are trying to find the value of phi at this east interface. So phi at east, and this will be given by phi at east interface minus phi p by phi capital E minus phi p is equal to e to the power P xc by delta xc minus 1 by e to the power P minus 1. Is this clear to everyone? Just we are replacing the value at x equal to at the east interface. If you do that, what is phi e? Phi e is equal to, just rearrange the terms, e to the power P xc by delta xc minus 1 by e to the power P minus 1. This term, okay. This is the term within the bracket here. You can see third bracket. E to the power P xc by delta xc minus 1 e to the power P minus 1 multiplied by this numerator denominator goes to the other side, multiplied by phi e minus phi p. Okay. Plus this phi p. This also comes to the other side. Okay. Plus this phi p. Okay. So phi at east interface is equal to phi p plus phi e minus phi p e to the power P xc by delta xc. So this entire thing is on the power of e. Okay. not by the side. Minus 1 by e to the power p minus 1. Okay. This is the value of phi we have replaced. Okay. What about this gamma I d phi dxe? Gamma I is again we can interpolate using harmonic mean or linear mean. Now d phi dx at east. So phi at east. So first let us take a derivative of if of phi, and then we will replace the value of x as xe to find d phi dx at east. So derivative of phi with respect to x. What is the derivative of phi with respect to x? You can do that. Later you should practice. I will just go through it quickly. So on this side you have e to the power px by delta xc. If you take a derivative with respect to x, you get p by delta xc e to the power px by delta xc. Okay, so p by delta xc comes out. E to the power pxc by delta xc. Okay. We will replace this value. So at this point it is e to the power px by delta xc. Minus 1 actually goes to 0 because derivative of this constant is 0. Divided by e to the power p minus 1. Okay. Multiplied by this goes to the other side. Pi minus 5p. So or do it in another way. Okay, take the derivative of this with respect to x, assuming that this is x. So 5p goes to 0, you are left with 5 minus 5p by e to the power p minus 1, and this term gives us p by delta xc e to the power p xc by delta xc. Okay. So we are just taking a derivative of phi with respect to x and then replacing the value at x equal to xc, and we will get this term. Okay. So we can write this now as, so we can simplify this. Okay, we can simplify this. How will we simplify? Add these two terms together. It looks complicated, but you have to do it on hand so that you find out. You should do it after the class. So Fe into 5p, okay, this term is still there, plus phi minus 5p e to the power p xc by delta xc minus 1 by e to the power p minus 1 minus gamma into p. What is gamma into p? Gamma into p by delta xc. Gamma e by delta xc is diffusive strength dE. Okay. What is dE into Peclet number? What is dE into Peclet number? What is Peclet number? In terms of D and F?
F by D.
F by D. So D into P is equal to F, right? Because P is equal to F by D. So F by D into D. So F. So we are left. So this term and this term ultimately leads to Fe. Okay, gamma E P by delta Xc is equal to Fe. Why? Because gamma E by delta Xc is equal to D, and D into Peclet number. So D into Peclet number is Fe. Okay, so this is also Fe. So Fe into phi minus phi p by e to the power p minus 1 by e to the power into e to the power p xc by delta xc. Okay. So if you take both this common, what will happen is that this phi minus phi p into e to the power p xc by delta xc, this term will get cancelled with this term. Okay. This term will get cancelled with this term. Both are same term. Only one negative sign is there. So ultimately, what will be left is J is equal to Fe phi p minus this. Only the effect of minus 1 will be there. Minus phi minus phi p by e to the power p minus 1. Okay. J is equal to Fe phi p minus phi minus phi p by e to the power p minus 1. One interesting thing to note here is that J does not depend on the position of x. Okay, so there is no x in this expression. Whatever is the location, whether I am taking here or here, wherever is the interface, okay, the flux remains constant. Okay, flux is just dependent on the grid point values and the velocities, obviously, and Peclet number. Okay, it does not depend on the location. Flux has to be constant also, obviously, because it's a 1D problem, but that is what we have found. So J is equal to Fe phi p phi minus phi p by e to the power p minus 1. Okay. If you separate this in terms of the coefficients of phi p and phi, so all the terms of phi p we can put together. So one term is the Fe phi p and the second term is minus Fe by e to the power p minus 1. Okay. So we can write e to the power p minus 1 as common. Okay. Into so what will happen? We will have one e to the power p minus 1. Okay, e to the power p minus 1 plus 1. So we will be left with e to the power p. You have to just do it on hand and you will see that this is what we obtain. So Fe by e to the power p minus 1 e to the power p phi p minus what is the coefficient of phi? It is minus Fe e to the power p minus 1. Okay. So this is J. Okay, in terms of phi p and phi. Okay, we have written successfully the flux J at the interface at anywhere, but for the interface also this holds true. This is how it looks like in terms of phi p and phi e. All other values are known values. Fe is known, Peclet number is known. Similarly, we should be able to derive. Okay, you should try this as an exercise, but remember that you should be able to derive. So the left hand side values. So here the P was the left hand side. Now the west will be the left hand side, and the right was east here. Now the right will be P. Okay. So between W and P, so at this interface, the value JW is FW e to the power PW minus 1 e to the power PW phi W minus FW e to the power PW minus 1 phi P. Okay. So now what is our equation? Equation is J is equal to JW. So we will equate these two terms. Okay, J equal to JW. So this term is equal to this term. Okay. So if you do that, you have three grid point values, phi p, phi e, and phi w, and their coefficients. You can put them together. Okay. So J equal to JW. And where is our equation? These are the equations. Okay. So all the phi p terms you put together. Okay. So this coefficient is Fe e to the power p by e to the power p minus 1. And from the second expression, we will get this negative will become positive because you have to take it to the other side. Plus Fw by e to the power Pw minus 1. So this is the coefficient of phi p. On the other side, we have the coefficient of phi. This we have to take to the other side. So this will become positive. Fe by e to the power p minus 1 phi. And this will remain on this side. So Fw e to the power Pw by e to the power Pw minus 1 phi w. Okay. This expression. So this is of the same form as AP phi p is equal to A phi plus AW phi w. This form is very familiar to us because we have seen that for all cases we find this form. Okay. However, the values of AP, AE, and AW are now given by this. Okay. So AP is this term, AE is this term, and AW is this term. Okay. So this scheme with this value of AP, AE, and AW is known as exponential scheme. Okay. This scheme is known as exponential scheme because we have derived based on the exponential variation. And it can be checked that you should check this on your own that AP is equal to AE plus AW. So AP is equal to AE plus AW plus FE minus FW, and FE is, because FE is equal to FW by continuity equation, AP is equal to AE plus AW. Please check that after the class, okay, before the next class. So by adding this coefficients, you should be able to get the coefficient AP. So we have derived a scheme where we found the values of AP, AE, and AW based on our exponential solution. This scheme is known as exponential scheme, and the coefficients are exponential functions of cell-based Peclet number. Okay, let me keep the scheme open here. Okay. Coefficients are function of cell-based Peclet number. What does it mean? The coefficients are functions of exponential functions of Peclet number. So for the east interface, it's a function of east side Peclet number. For the west interface, it's a function of west side Peclet number. Okay, interface Peclet numbers. And what is the advantage? This scheme is 100% accurate. Means exact. It will give the exact solution for a 1D steady state problem without source term, because it has been derived for a 1D steady state based on 1D steady state solution. It will give 100% accurate solution for a 1D steady state flow, like convective diffusive problem. 100% accurate. However coarse is the mesh, if I only take 3 grid points also, then also we will get 100% accurate result. If I take 100 grid points, then also I will get 100% accurate result. Okay. So we will provide exact solution for steady state 1D problem without source term for any Peclet number, whether the Peclet number is 0, it's a diffusion dominated flow, or it's a highly convective flow. So for any Peclet number, it will give 100% accurate solution. And for any number of grid points, so I have only 4 grid points in a domain, then also I will get exact solution. Okay. However, the solution will not be exact, obviously, if the problem is more complex, because we have derived it based on 1D convective diffusion problem. If there is a source term, or there is an unsteady term, or it's a 2D or 3D problem, the solution will not be exact, but the solution will be quite accurate. Okay, although it is not exact, it will give a much more accurate solution as compared to the previous schemes. So this is the advantage of exponential. Sometimes people ask, what is the advantage of exponential scheme? The advantage of exponential scheme is that it gives the exactly correct solution, 100% correct solution, if it is a 1D convective diffusive problem without source term. However, for other types of problem also, like 2D or 3D problem, or there is a source term or unsteady term, it gives very accurate solution. Okay. What is the disadvantage? If it was everything was advantageous, we should have used this for all cases. But you will see later that we do not use this scheme. Okay. Although it gives us a lot of insight, we cannot use this scheme practically. Why? Because calculating exponentials is very expensive numerically. Okay. And for each grid point, you will have to calculate this exponential e to the power p and e to the power pw. So this exponential calculation it takes lot of time while calculating it based on a computer. Okay. So computationally, this is a very expensive scheme, as we need to calculate how are exponential calculated. Do you know how are exponential calculated by the computer? Using exponential series. Okay. Directly you cannot calculate, like numerically it has to be calculated by the computer. Okay. So you cannot just fit a formula. So how it is done? 1 plus x square by 2, like this it has to be done. Plus x cube by 3, like this. Factorial 3, x to the power 4 by a factorial. So like this it has to be calculated, right? So you need to take a large number of terms to calculate a single exponential. So for one exponential e to the power x, you need to take hundreds of terms to calculate it accurately. And for each term, you then have to calculate x square, x cube, like this. So you have to calculate the polynomial and you have to calculate the factorial also. x square by factorial 2, x cube by factorial 3. So calculating an exponential term is, so this is a very important actually knowledge for any programming later on if you do, not related to CFD also, any programming. We should try to avoid as much as possible calculation of exponential terms if we want to speed up our program. Okay, because exponential terms take a lot of time to calculate. So instead of exponential, if we can use some smaller, simpler polynomial or other type of function, it will be much faster. Because we need to calculate large number of exponentials, this is not practical for 2D or 3D problems. It is still very good for 1D simple problems, but it is not practical for 2D or 3D problems. Okay. So now what do we need? We need a scheme which will mimic the behavior of exponential series, exponential scheme. Which it will give the variation similar to this variation. It will mimic this behavior, but without using exponential term. So we should try to approximate this behavior using some method, but without calculating exponential. So need an easy to compute scheme with behavior similar to exponential scheme. So how will we mimic this? So we can break this down into parts. Okay, like going from here to here, then here to here, then here to here, like this. We can break this down into multiple parts. Okay, so this is known as, this breaking down this into multiple parts is known as piecewise functions. So we can use piecewise linear function. So one line, one straight line like this. Sorry, one straight. I will draw it here. What to choose? Let us choose this. So we can take one straight line for this. Okay. Say for this line. My drawing is very inaccurate. For the bottom line, we will take one straight line for this, then another straight line for this part, and another straight line for this part. Okay. Like this, we can take to approximate in a better way. Similarly, for this, we can take one straight line like this, another straight line like this, and another straight line like this. So piecewise linear functions we can use. We will do that in the next class, but that will mimic the behavior. It will be slightly less accurate than the exponential scheme, although very accurate, but still, but it will be much faster, many times faster, orders of magnitude faster than the exponential scheme. Okay. So this is the importance of the exponential scheme. It gives us a very good insight and is very accurate for simple problems. Even for complex problem also it is very accurate, but it is computationally very expensive. Okay. So with this we will stop today's class. Here any questions? And in the next class, when is the next class? Next Monday we have a class. Although it is Puja vacation, is from Tuesday. Monday there is no holiday. Monday there is a class. So in Monday's class, we will continue this discussion. And we will see two more schemes, hybrid scheme. These are very familiar to all the other students who have learned CFD. Widely used, hybrid scheme and power law scheme. We will see those schemes. And then we will go into further details. Okay. Again, due to my health issues, I have not formally given you the assignment problems. So you have still time. I will assign the problems maybe during this weekend or sometime when I get time. You will have a lot of time to submit. Please start working on your project. We will discuss this maybe like when we get some time later on. And any project is fine. It can be something like as like the assignment problems, or it can be ANSYS based. Okay, but we will not discuss about ANSYS in this class. This course is more fundamental course. You will have another course on ANSYS in the second in the next semester. Okay, in the next semester you have a course on ANSYS, which is the lab course. Okay, MSSL 2. So there you will learn the practical aspects of how to implement. This is about learning the fundamentals of computational methods of thermal and fluid engineering. the second semester course is on actually doing the lab classes. Okay. So any questions on the exponential scheme?
It is 100% accurate now, sir.
It is 100% accurate only for what condition?
If we take more number of terms of e power.
No. That is not the case. If you, what type of CFD problem will it give 100? It is not 100% accurate for all CFD problem. For what type of CFD problem will it be 100% accurate?
1D.
1D, and still there are more conditions.
Without
not only 1D.
source.
Without source and unsteady. Means without source and unsteady term. Only for steady state convection diffusion problem it is 100% accurate, which is a very specific case. So for more general problem, unsteady problem, like if problem like variation with time is there, then it won't be 100% accurate. Okay, it won't be 100% accurate, but still it will be quite accurate. Okay, accurate as compared to all the other schemes, but it is not practical. That's why it is not used. So by the way, you should also know, means when you do computer programming, let me just stop the recording, it's not needed anymore.
Sir, my question